They didn't score any points. They couldn't move the ball consistently. Dylan Gabriel, you don't even like lefty quarterbacks. He's a lefty.
And lefty quarterbacks are the worst.
Disgusting.
They're disgusting.
I think
can't even watch them.
I can't even watch them.
Except Mike Vick. Shout out Mike Vick.
Mike Vick is the Mike Vick's a legend.
Post dog fighting.
Post dog fighting Mike.
He was better before dog fighting. Yes, he was.
Much better when he got with the coach. Was it Andy Reid?
Welcome to the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast, your hub for all things sports. Now, here are your hosts, Dylan and Turner.
Welcome into the first episode of the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast. I am your host, Dylan Lieck, joined by my good buddy, Turner. We are really excited to bring you guys this first episode of our podcast. We've been avid sports fans for a long time, good buddies, and all we do is watch football and basketball. It consumes our lives, and so we wanted to share that with our viewers and hope we get a good following. So I hope you guys enjoy this first episode and bear with us as we're kind of learning how to do this, and hopefully you guys enjoy the content. So we'll kick it off starting in the NFL, and we'll talk about just a recap of Week 4. First quarter of the season is done, and let's start with, I think, maybe the best game of the week, arguably, which was the Chiefs and the Jets. We had a Chiefs team who came in 3-1 after losing to the Lions Week 1 in that Thursday night matchup. The Jets came in after losing Aaron Rodgers with the Achilles injury and had Zach Wilson, who, let's be frank, has looked terrible. And I don't know what the fuck happened, but I mean, something switched in him. I don't know what it was, but they got down 17-0, and it looked like they were going to get run over, and they came back and made it a game. And if it weren't for a late fumble, I think the Jets win the game. I mean, and you know, what are your thoughts on just the Chiefs right now? I don't know how good they look offensively. Defense has improved for sure.
Yeah, I think, like you said, a weird game. Zach Wilson, to full disclosure to our audience, I told you I turned it off after they went up 17-0 and my fantasy football game was over. But, you were texting me about it, and he was bringing them back and whatnot. But, yeah, he's been pretty bad. And the Chiefs have been really good on the defensive side of the ball, much, much better than they have.
Shocking. I can't believe how good they've played defensively.
Same defensive coordinator. I don't know. I don't know who all they added.
It wasn't a lot of turnover, really. I mean, it wasn't much.
Yeah, so interesting there that the defense has been playing so well. I think the Kansas City Chiefs offense, even last year, besides Kelsey, he doesn't have a lot of help.
That receiving core is so barren, dude.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Kelsey's always going to get his, and it helps a lot that Pacheco's playing so well.
He's been
right
outstanding.
Yeah, Pacheco's been great. So it'll be interesting to see. You know, everybody says, oh, they don't have enough to go to the Super Bowl, and people were saying that last year, and they won the whole damn thing. So
I know.
Who knows? But, defense looks way, way better. So it'll be interesting. I know Buffalo, and we're going to talk about that Dolphins-Buffalo game here in a bit, but Buffalo looks really good. I mean, they laid that clunker the first night.
You think that was the best thing that ever happened to them?
Absolutely. I was telling some of that last week. I was like, I think them losing that game and them just, when Aaron Rodgers went out, the air went out of the building. They thought they had the game won. They stopped.
Absolutely.
It's human nature. Stop playing. And
it's kind of what the Chiefs did this week. Same type of deal.
Yeah, same type of deal.
And if you heard Josh Allen after the game, it was like, I think he said something like, a different day, same shit. Like, he had 4 turnovers. He single-handedly cost him the game. I mean, Buffalo was moving the ball up and down the field on a pretty good Jets defense in that game. It just came down to Allen turnovers. And it almost seemed like it was the wake-up call to Allen, like, I got to stop doing this stupid shit.
Yeah, I mean, he was just chunking the ball 50 yards down the field in double coverage and stuff you don't need to be doing, especially when the backup quarterback's in and you're winning the game. So, yeah, I think the Chiefs, they're an interesting team, right? Super Bowl champs, but the defense has gotten better, so how can you say that they're not the favorites? Especially with the Bengals looking awful.
That's shocking.
We'll get there too. But I mean, it's just it's interesting. For me, I I like Buffalo, and like you said, I think it's the best thing that ever happened to them. Losing that first
that
game.
was a blessing in disguise for the Bills dropping that game to the Jets. They've looked like the best team in the NFL since that first game loss to the Jets in overtime. But I thought my one issue with the Chiefs is like the receiving core was already bad, but they arguably got worse. All they did was lose Juju Smith-Schuster and Mecole Hardman, and who I don't even know if they picked anybody up. They got Marquez Valdez-Scantling. That's about it. Like,
was he there last year? No,
I can't remember if he was there last year. Actually, he might have been. But if he was, then they literally just gave away 2 receivers and a receiving core that was already bad. And I will say, like, it's a lot easier this year to just take away Kelsey and not have to worry about anything else. I mean, they're 3-1, and they could very easily be 4-0. That Lions game, the Lions were fortunate to win it, so it's not like it's like sirens going off in Kansas City.
Yeah, it's one drop that would have been a first down.
Yeah,
turned into a pick 6 away from being 4-0.
Yes, exactly. I mean, could have so the Chiefs. I don't think there's any cause for concern there, but I do want to see, can the receiving core really is bad, and Pacheco helps obviously out of the backfield. But I don't know. Can you stay like really confident after winning 2 Super Bowls and be really get up like a team needs to win a Super Bowl when you continuously downgrade your talent on your roster? I don't know that you can. We'll move on to another game that you referenced already, and that was the Bills and the Dolphins, an absolute slobberknocker, if you will, as the Bills won it 48-20. The game was never close, and it was funny because it's after the Dolphins were over there dancing and laughing up 70-20 on the Broncos week before, and basically the Bills, if they wanted to, could have pretty much done the exact same thing to them. I mean, it was Allen 4 touchdowns, 3 of them to Diggs, who has really kind of not had that great of a year until game 4. Obviously, the Bills look good, but you can tell me if you disagree. But can we please shut the fuck up about Tua and the Dolphins now? He's not the dude everybody thinks he is. Could you imagine that Dolphins team if you put Justin Herbert on that roster, or if you put even Purdy or Mahomes, anybody in the top 5-10 quarterbacks? I just think Tua is so average.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely a noted Tua hater.
Can't stand him.
And I don't dislike him as much as you.
Fucking
but
bad.
I do definitely agree with you that if you did put a Herbert or Mahomes in that situation, then yeah, of course. I mean, with all that talent, they would absolutely kill it. But Tua's having a pretty good year. Did they run up the score on the Broncos? Of course. They inflated the numbers, and McDaniel was having the time of his life, destroying his childhood team that he was a ball boy for.
I think he was ripping his vape on the sideline again. He's been ripping that thing.
So, I mean, they run up the score on him, and the NFL always brings you back down to earth when it needs to. So, and that's exactly what happened to them. So they, they're a good football team. They're going to the playoffs.
Yeah, they're going to the playoffs.
Zero doubt about that. But yeah, Buffalo's the best team in that division, and I think
for sure
it was evident on Sunday. The game was not very close. We'll see what happens when Buffalo goes to Miami, but I just think Buffalo's the more complete team, that's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And my thing is, when you look at it, like, my concern with the Dolphins is you look at the first 3 games, right? They played the Chargers, who look like a bottom 5 defense, right? Basically, anybody is doing whatever they want against Brandon Staley's group. Then they played the Pats week 2 against a mediocre defense, I'd say like bottom 15 maybe, and put up only 24. And then week 3, you play maybe the worst defense. I mean, some of those dudes on the Broncos in the secondary look like guys who shouldn't even be in the NFL. And
they're making Justin Fields and the Bears look pretty good.
He put up 28 points last week, right? So they played nobody. And my question always for that offense is it's so gimmicky, it's so college-like, it's very up-tempo. When you play more physical teams who are better and have a good game plan and can force you to not throw the ball over the middle, which is what Tua likes to do, and make him throw those tough throws outside and not let Tyreek Hill get downfield, what happens? And so I'm interested to see, as the Dolphins, they have a terrible matchup this week. They get the Giants, so they'll be fine in week 5, and everybody will go back to loving Tua again. But I want to see every week they play a good team. I'm going to fade the Dolphins. until they prove me otherwise. I want to see them offensively have a good game against a physical, talented defense.
They're going to be just fine against the Giants. That's my God.
Is that the worst offensive line you've ever seen?
I think so.
It's.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many injuries they have, or if that's just like their starting offensive line. But
if one major injury,
I was telling somebody that was like, I think Daniel Jones got sacked 11 times that game. And it could have been 25.
Oh, 100%.
Like if Daniel Jones couldn't move, he would have been sacked over 25. If it was Kirk Cousins back there, like Peyton Manning, he would have been sacked at least 20 times. And it was just, I'm just watching it, and I'm like, they're bringing 4. I mean, it's not like they were bringing 7 or 6 the whole time. It was like, they were bringing 4, sometimes 5. And I swear everybody on that Seahawks defense had a sack. But they
some of those were max protections, too.
Yeah, I mean, they look so bad.
It was horrible.
I mean, I know Dable's getting frustrated with Danny Dimes over there, and I'm not a huge Danny Dimes guy.
Yeah.
But he's not as bad as what they're making them look.
You can't evaluate
He's just running for his life.
I mean, he's
trying to stay alive out there.
He's being pressured on 55% of his dropbacks. That would be an NFL record.
I'm surprised it's only that. It feels like it's 75.
I mean, you think about it. They're max protecting now on a lot of drives, a lot of plays they run. There's max protection. They're still getting home.
Yeah.
This is a Seahawks defense that's not all that talented. They're very young. And what's funny is the Giants. I actually thought Danny Dimes played very well for what he had in his face all night. He had one bad decision. It was the pick 6. If they throw a touchdown there, the game is 14-10 in the fourth quarter with how bad the offensive line was. But you can't evaluate anything on the Giants till they fix that, and that's on the GM for sure. We'll move on to a brighter spot. It was another bad game, but a bright spot in the league, and that's the Texans and the Steelers. And really, I just want to focus on the Texans. C.J. Stroud, through his first 4 starts, and these are incredible numbers. He's averaging 300 yards per game. We've talked off air about this, and we both are really impressed with him. Averaging 300 yards per game, has a top 5 QBR in the league, 6 touchdowns, no picks, had 4 touchdowns against the Steelers. Absolutely looked like the best rookie quarterback by far, given it's hard to evaluate Bryce Young in a bad situation in Carolina. But you got to love what the Texans are doing. I mean, D'Amico Ryans is an early dark horse for Coach of the Year if they win 7 or 8 games. I think their win total opened at 6.5, and it got steamed under by professional bettors. So, this is a team that's outperforming expectation. You look at just the difference from week 1 to 3. They played the same team, the Jaguars, and they went on the road in week 3 after getting beat by double digits week 1, and it was just a completely different game. And it's all because of Stroud. Nico Collins, young wide receiver, 24-year-old receiver. Tank Dell. And then you've got a pretty good defense. And honestly, if I were Matt Canada after that, just embarrassment. D'Amico Ryans put him in a fucking blender. I mean, if I were Matt Canada, the OC for the Steelers, I would have walked down and given my resignation to Mike Tomlin right away. It was that fucking bad. I mean, they 6 points against the Texans defense, and they're not that talented. They're young, but they're not that talented. What have you seen from Stroud so far?
I haven't seen him play a ton, but I mean, the numbers don't lie. What I saw at the end of the game last week, I think I told you, is like, he's thrown it 152 times without a pick as a rookie. And the closest number to that was like Warren Moon, like at 100 or 102.
That's nuts.
So he's thrown it 50 more times as a rookie without turning the ball over, which is just insane. And like you said, I mean, on offense, they have some good young pieces, but they're not like insanely talented. So
who's the number 1 receiver?
Yeah,
I guess Nico Collins or Tank Dell?
One of them. So he's doing a fantastic job not turning it over and giving his team a chance to win. And I'm sure that's what D'Amico Ryans has told him. Like, hey, look, you're young, take care of the ball, do everything you can. And D'Amico Ryans is a top-notch defensive mind. So
awesome.
The team's just going to get better and better. And then, obviously, you got Will Anderson in the middle of that defense who's a freak. So he's definitely going to be a top 10 player in the league in the next 2-3 years. I mean, he's already really, really good. So I love what they did on the draft. Now looking at it, it's easier to say, but
we talked about this early on.
Yeah, there was a lot of question marks about Stroud, really.
Right.
I mean,
I had questions.
But Will Anderson, no one had any questions on. So it was like, if C.J. Stroud turns out to be a franchise quarterback, this is going to go down as one of the best drafts ever.
It is.
Yeah. So you get your leader on defense, you get your leader on offense for the next 10 years,
Right.
which is like, unheard of. So I think they're showing a lot of promise, and the Texans are going to be, the division's not great.
No.
I don't think they're going to win the division this year, but I think by next year,
Yep.
they'll have a real chance to win the division. It'll be interesting to see what, how Anthony Richardson, he was out with the concussion, he
Right.
progresses. I don't know exactly what he did in the game, but I know he put up a lot of fantasy points last week against the Rams. So
That was a wild one, too.
yeah. So, I mean, but so far, obviously, C.J. Stroud looks the best. It's not even close.
Not even close.
We're only 4 games into everybody's
Right, it's
career.
super early. It's super
And,
early.
people are knocking Bryce Young, which I kind of get because they just...
He's looked bad.
The Panthers are not very good.
I mean, they have no offensive line. They have arguably, it's not the worst. The Giants are the worst, but they have the second worst offensive line in football.
Yeah, Bears are pretty bad, too, but they're all bad.
They're all bad.
I mean, they're... The Giants, though, I mean...
The Giants are far and away.
Especially after this last game, looking at it, it's like, man, they're so bad.
I honestly wonder if you put, like, the Steel high school offensive line out there, if they could do a better job. Like, I wonder. It's honestly comparable. They're that
Probably
bad.
not.
Probably not, but they look that bad. It looks like a high school offensive line out there against men.
Yep.
Yeah.
They
And
got torn apart.
But yeah, Stroud, we'll close. We'll move on to the next one, but we'll close with this. Like, I think you said it. All the attempts that he's made, that's what's impressive to me. A, he's thrown the ball quite a bit. B, he's pushing the ball down the field. 300 plus yards a game. You're making throws down the field. You're not checking down a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like, especially, you would think the Big Ten isn't the most NFL-like conference. So him coming from Ohio State, it's not, there hasn't been an Ohio State quarterback who's looked that great. In the NFL as a passer in a long time.
I mean, even in the draft, they were talking about, like, are you going to take an Ohio State quarterback? Because it just doesn't seem to work out for whatever reason.
I have been pleasantly surprised. I thought he was the best pure passer in the draft, but I didn't know that he would be that great. He's really surprised me. Last game we'll talk about here on the recap of Week 4 is the Commanders at the Eagles. That was, again, one of the better games of the weekend. The Eagles have not looked like the best team in the league or a top 3 team in the league, but they just have found ways to win. Their defense has forced a lot of turnovers. Yep. Teams are moving the ball on them, but they find a way to make big plays. And with a game on the line, they once again did that. It felt like the Commanders gave this away. And my issue with it, and you mentioned this right away, and I thought you were spot on, was when Washington got the ball back, because Philly scored a touchdown with about a minute 40 to go. Washington drives down, scores in the final play of the game, and you have an opportunity to go for 2. You're on the road. You're clearly the inferior team. That defense was on its heels that whole drive. It just felt like the right move to go for the win. And you have a coach in Rivera who's the type of guy to do that. It was weird that he didn't. So they go to overtime, they go 3 and out, and the Eagles go down and get a field goal and win the game. And it's just very anticlimactic for the Commanders. I almost called them the Redskins. Big loss for the Commanders to drop that game. Would have been a 3-way tie at the top of the NFC East through the first quarter of the season. Instead, they dropped to 2-2, let one slip away. What are your thoughts on the Eagles and or the Commanders so far, or that game?
Well, watching the game, we were watching it together here. I just always had the feeling that even though they went down, the Eagles were going to find a way to win the game because that's what they do.
Felt like it.
They don't, like you said, look fantastic, but you get the feeling watching all their games like, oh, they're going to find a way to win, whatever. Defense is probably not, they're young. They've lost some pieces of the secondary.
Yeah.
That doesn't help, so they're getting that figured out. But listen, they're 4-0, so, they'll definitely take that. And like you said, I was just shocked that, you're a big underdog on the road and a divisional opponent. You score, you have the whole stadium in shock that you go down and score on the last play of the game. I immediately was like, oh, he's going for 2.
Thought for sure.
And then the field goal extra point team runs on. I go, oh my goodness. I was just like, this is, strange. And I get that the Commanders played a pretty good game, went down, and I guess his feeling was, hey, we just went down and scored, we're going to win this thing. But I think a 2-point conversions, the analytics say, are a little bit above 50%.
Yeah.
and you kind of have the Eagles shell shock there going down the field and scoring. It's like, oh, why not just go for 2 and try to win the game?
Didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, and yeah, Riverboat Ron's his freaking name. So it was interesting. But over the years, everybody's always called him that. I don't know if he made like one decision one time where he did it, because it seems like to me
he's kind of conservative.
He's conservative.
Yeah.
Like the decisions I've seen, like 4th and 1s, where you're like, it's Riverboat Ron, he's gonna go for this. He sends a punt team out there, and I'm like, and I think I remember someone asking him about it one day, like, how'd you get it? He's like, well, it was one like fake punt or something, and someone gave me the nickname Riverboat Ron, and it just stuck. But I mean, he seems pretty. I would say that if you're an underdog in the NFL and you score like that 80% of the coaches probably go for 2.
Yeah,
there.
for sure.
So
when you're a dog like that on the road.
So, and the divisional, but you have one play to win it. So I don't know. I don't know if they had played. If they didn't have something they liked or whatever it may have been. But yeah, they won the toss and got the ball. I mean, they had a chance to go down and score, but.
That brings up actually an interesting point, because I actually have, and me and my dad have talked about this a little bit. It almost seems to me, I'd like to get the numbers on it, but I feel like the team that takes the ball first in the new rules loses more than they win.
Yeah, I'm curious too, because I always feel like unless you have a juggernaut of an offense, you're better off saying like, hey, maybe they're not going to score.
Right.
I'm sure the analytics will say you take the ball because you have a chance to score a touchdown.
Right.
But I am curious with what you just said, what the actual numbers are. Like the Rams went down and scored right away in that game.
Right.
But I don't. It seems like, I guess a number too that you could just look up is like, in overtime, what percent of the team that gets the ball immediately scores a touchdown? Like, what is the percentage of that, right?
Right.
But
I would guess about 30%.
I mean, I guess you just have to.
It's hard to kick it away.
Yeah, you have to take it.
But
I mean, you have to take it, I think. But I get what you're saying, because I'm kind of the same way. I feel like the team but I'm trying to remember the overtime game against the Colts and Ravens. Colts got it first and ended up winning.
But they didn't score on that first drive,
No, they didn't score. They ended up winning. But so I don't know.
There was a game, the week
you just
one.
have to take it first, because
it's hard to kick it away and just week one. Bills won the toss in overtime versus the Jets. Got it first, punted it away, kick return for a touchdown. The thing about it for me is, what's the weight difference between these two things? The odds of you scoring a touchdown versus the odds of you going 3 and out. Because if you go 3 and out from the 25-yard line, you basically have to now get a 3 and out, or you're going to give up a field goal attempt at least. So it's just, I would like to see the numbers. I thought that was an interesting point to bring up.
No, and I'm sure the numbers with the new rules are very, very close.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably not, especially like in a game. Say it's a game you're playing in, Buffalo in December or something,
right?
And it's 10 degrees and the wind is just blowing one direction 40 miles an hour, which happens in Buffalo.
Yeah.
There I'm going, okay, I'm gonna kick it, and you're just gonna choose a direction and let them make the decision.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna take and they're gonna take the ball. But I mean, there's in games where there's elements and stuff. I think it definitely brings more strategy in it. I think though, kind of no matter what, if like it's a dome game or whatever, you're gonna take the ball. But I do agree with you that the numbers are probably pretty damn close.
Yeah, they've got to be. I mean, it's an interesting thing to think about. It's also, I believe in the playoffs now, you get a possession even if the other team scores a touchdown.
Yeah,
is that right?
You do.
So I would think even now in the playoffs, for sure, you kind of want to defer, see what you got to do, and then respond there. But
in the playoffs, I think he would definitely do that.
And I think we've seen a few I want to say Belichick did it a while back one time where he decided to kick in a regular season overtime, and they ended up winning because I can't remember exactly when it was, but it's an interesting thing to think about as a coach. We're going to move on now. Before we go, we're going to preview NFL Week 5. Before we do that, I'm going to let Turner give his hot take of the week. And
we're doing my celebrity
your
sports
your
gossip.
Celebrity sports gossip,
Yes.
and I'll set it up by saying Joe Burrow has been horrific this year, and there's almost no explanation for it. Obviously, he's got a little bit of an injury, but you're talking a guy who was an MVP candidate the first 2 years and was in the Super Bowl and in the AFC Championship the last 2 games. He has thrown for 728 yards through 4 games, less than 200 yards a game,
Crazy.
2 total touchdowns the entire season. to 2 interceptions. His QBR is bottom 5 in the league. He's under 58% completion, and they have the exact same weapons. And the only thing that changed in the offense was they actually added to the offensive line. They got an all-pro lineman from the Chiefs. So what in the fuck is going on with Joe Burrow?
My hot take was, I told you, this is all hearsay, so I don't want,
I take this as
fact.
fact.
I don't even have an Instagram, so you can't @ me, or a Twitter. But I was reading something, I think it was just on like Snapchat or something like that, like the BS little stories. And, Joe Burrow may have that little calf deal bothering him, but he's my dynasty quarterback in our fantasy football league. And someone wrote that what was going on is that Livvy Dunne, the social media sensation and swimsuit model, has moved on from Joe Burrow to Paul Skeens, the pitcher, the number 1 pick for the Pirates. So listen, that would break anybody's heart.
That would break me.
It would break a lot of us mere mortals. So, and I don't think Joe's any different. So, and I think Joe's, in some kind of committed relationship or something's going on, like he's dating somebody else, I think. But all I'm saying is, if this Livvy Dunne thing is true, that could be what's wrong with him.
It sure makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot more sense than a little bit of a calf strain for this. This is a bombshell.
He's been dog shit.
He's been dog shit. It's been really bad.
I think Livvy broke his heart. And listen, for my fantasy football team, Livvy, if you're out there listening, please give Joe another chance.
He's a great guy, and he deserves one more shot, all right?
Absolutely.
I'm tired of seeing the Bengals shit on themselves week in and week out. That poor organization suffered for a long time. It looked like they finally found their guy, and now all of a sudden it has not looked great in the past couple weeks.
You think they got to figure it out. I just don't. There's something obviously going on besides that, because the team on paper is better than they were. I think. I don't know what the defense
they are.
Done,
they are. They're better. The only thing that happened, Joe Mixon took a pay cut so that they could add the offensive lineman. I mean, the defense is just as good as they were last. It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I love that take. I think that's actually very plausible.
Yeah, I told you.
It really
does.
That
like a couple weeks ago. Or
I couldn't stop.
Like, I love that. You got to share that. I was like, well,
it's great. I think it's brilliant. It's a very good
trash
take.
Gossip I get on the Snapchat stories or whatever. And I was like, you know what? That makes a lot more sense than the calf.
It does.
I'll run with it.
I like it. We'll move on to the preview of Week 5, and I'm going to disclose this by saying this might be the worst NFL week of the season. I thought the first 4 weeks we've had some really good matchups, and with the exception of the Sunday night matchup, and we can start there because I think it's the best one of the week. We've got the Cowboys, who come in 3-1, won their first 2 games easily. Had a stinker in Arizona that we talked about a little bit together last week, where it just looked like the Cowboys were not interested in being there. They have a nice bounce back win. They give the Patriots and Bill Belichick his worst loss of his career, 38-3. Absolute beatdown of New England at home. Albeit not a great offensive performance from the Cowboys. It was mostly on the hands of the defense. They come in facing a San Francisco 49ers team that anyone playing against Christian McCaffrey has just been losing their mind in fantasy football because, and I know you might have played against him this week. In one of my leagues, I have him, and he single-handedly delivered me a win. But
single-handedly delivering me a loss.
Yeah, I mean, that guy is unbelievable, and given I don't know what Arizona was doing last week against the 49ers, but the 49ers have nonetheless looked like one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL. They get this game at home. For entertainment purposes, the line sits at 4. San Francisco favored by 4 with a total of 45. What are your thoughts on this matchup? Do the Cowboys have a fighting chance here? I think they do oftentimes come into these games against better competition and play up to their competition. The two teams are first and second in point differential so far. They've looked like 2 of the best teams in the league. What are your thoughts on this one for Sunday night?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you throw the Cowboys' loss out to the Cardinals, it just looked like them not being ready to play, and, that's coaching. I mean, you have to have your team ready to play. I mean, it's on the players too, but
right.
I mean, besides that game, they look like the 2 best teams in the NFC. I mean, when you add that game, I mean, obviously you got to put the Eagles in front of them.
Right.
Losing Diggs is a killer. I know you're a big fan of the Curse guy they got back there.
God, Javon Curse got to go, man. The guy is so bad. Every play.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that it should be a pretty good game. It's going to be interesting to see what the Cowboys' game plan is defensively. Are they going to just try to take away the run and have Brock Purdy beat them? I mean,
Right.
I don't even know if you can. I don't know if you can take away the run.
know.
I think a lot of teams are trying to take away the run, and Christian McCaffrey still ends up with
Right.
150 yards and like 4 fucking touchdowns
Right.
this week. So,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a great game, and that's obviously the game we're looking forward to most.
Yeah.
This NFL slate, because there's not much else. But
College
yeah,
slate much better this week.
I would be interested to see, and I think your dad touched on it. Like San Francisco, although they have crazy fans, it's not the toughest place to play.
No, it's not.
For whatever reason. It's not like going into, SoFi and playing the Chargers where you have home field advantage.
Right.
But there'll be a lot of Cowboys fans there. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. If I had to predict who was going to win, I would say the Niners, just because they're at home and they've looked so good.
Right.
But if the Cowboys can figure it out in the secondary and you throw that one game out, I'm with you. I think they can play up to the competition. People love to talk up Brock Purdy, and I 100% agree with him in the sense that he's doing everything they ask him to
Right.
do. He's not turning over the ball. He's got the highest QBR in the league. I was looking at that the other day. Because, obviously a lot of short passes, and it helps when you run the ball 15 yards a pop or whatever they're fucking doing. So, he's got that going for him, and he's doing exactly what they ask him to do. And it's going to be interesting in the offseason what kind of deal he does get, because, I'm sure they'll negotiate something nice for him, but I can't imagine him getting the $40 million like some of these guys are doing. And I think I even think San Francisco will let him test the market out a little bit, because I think what's going to happen is, and it's going to work out great for San Francisco, is they're going to get him for like 20 to 25 million, and that's 20 million less, but for their system, he's the perfect guy.
He's perfect for that system.
Perfect.
Yeah, it almost it reminds me kind of for Brock Purdy, the line in one of my favorite movies, Friday Night Lights, where they're talking to Mike Winchell and he says, all you got to do is exist in the 2 seconds between the snap and you getting booby the ball. That's Brock Purdy. All he's got to do is exist in that 2 seconds between the snap and you getting CMC the ball, and you'll be fine. And that's kind of what he's done. But nothing, not to take away from Purdy, because like you said, he's played well. He's done what he's been asked to do. My worry, I have 2 worries with the Cowboys. Number one, in that game against the Cardinals, given they were disinterested in that game, but even stretches in the Patriots game, the run defense just hasn't looked as good as I thought it would be. They got Maze Smith in the middle and tried to shore up that run defense. They've got a couple dudes up front, but they got gashed by the Cardinals, 182 yards in the first half, 200 plus in the game. And I know that game was just a throwaway game, and you can throw it out the window. But
you're right.
There were stretches in the Patriots game where there were gash runs early on. Obviously, the Patriots scored 3 points. You can't complain.
No.
But I have questions about the run defense, and like you said, can you really even take away the run there? And if you can't, then what? Purdy's good enough with that offense and with Shanahan to pick the Cowboys apart. I think if you're Dan Quinn, he's a guy who doesn't blitz a lot. He's going to have to bring a little bit more pressure this week. I don't know without Diggs now if you can be on an island with how good Ayuk's been playing and Debo. I know Debo was dealing with a little bit of an injury last week, and he wasn't that big of a factor, and Ayuk had a big game.
Think he had someone was chirping somebody in our fantasy football chat. I don't think Debo did anything.
He might not have had a catch.
Yeah, I think he was just kind of out there for a decoy.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Ayuk had a big game.
What's wrong with Debo? Do you know his injury?
I want to say it was a hamstring. Okay. I could be wrong.
Wow.
But I'm also think a key for the Cowboys is that we had Zach Martin, and Mike McCarthy is an idiot for this. He had Zach Martin in the game in the fourth quarter, coming off of an injury, and he's limping off the fucking field.
Up 30 points.
Up 30 points. Absolutely idiotic. But I want to see Tyron Smith didn't play last week, and he's sat out the last 2 weeks. I think if he plays and this Cowboys offensive line is at full strength and can stay healthy for the whole game, they have a chance to have some success offensively, because even though San Francisco's defense is really good, the Cardinals had a lot of success last week with a much inferior offense. So I'm excited to see the game. I think the Cowboys have a real shot to win it. I would also lean 49ers at home, but I think that they're going to I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think we've had two marquee teams like we expected. I didn't, but we expected the Bills and the Dolphins, right, to be kind of a good game last week. And the marquee big matchups this year, they haven't been that great. And so I think this actually is going to live up to the hype. I think we're going to see a really, really good game between these two teams that comes down to a fourth quarter drive or two. Moving on, we'll cover only two more games, and like I said, the games this week aren't that great. We'll cover the Thursday night game as it's the standalone game, and we're probably going to post this on Thursday. So we'll cover the Bears at the Commanders. Commanders come in. Obviously, we talked about them off that tough loss. They're about a 6-point favorite, give or take a half a point, taking on a Bears team that is one of the two winless teams left in the NFL, the other being the Carolina Panthers. And the Bears looked actually better last week offensively, albeit against a bad Broncos defense. But again, found a way to lose. The way Philly finds a way to win every game, the Bears up 28-7, find a way to lose. Eberflus decides to go for it, which I liked the call late in a 28-28 game, under 2 minutes. They had a chance to kick a field goal and go ahead. Decided to go for it and essentially, put it all on one kick with no time left, as opposed to kicking it and giving the ball back to Denver. Hated the call, the way they did go for it, and handed, I believe, to like a fullback dive and got stuffed. Do you think this is going to be anywhat of a good game, or is it just going to be Commanders cruising to a victory here at home?
Yeah, I think the Commanders, it's an emotional loss against the Eagles. You come all the way back, you're winning. The Eagles go up, you come all the way back and score. You don't go for two, you lose an OT, so that sucks. Physical game for them, but I think the Bears are so bad. Someone said it best earlier this week, saying that the Chicago Bears are the new Detroit Lions. So it's true.
Find a way to lose.
Yeah, find a way to lose.
Find a way to lose.
No matter what, they're going to lose. Doesn't matter. And that's kind of the deal. It's funny because everybody coming into this year, even though they hadn't won again, like their last 7 games, like so high on Justin Fields, then he throws in 4 clunkers, and they're like, 3 clunkers, like ready to give up on them. Just get rid of them. Time to tank and take Caleb Williams or May, and so it's funny how that happens in the NFL. It's just like
quick
3
judgments.
weeks, people lose their mind. Yeah, so I don't know. The team's really bad. He's got a bad offensive line. Defense isn't any good. So, I would imagine the Commanders would take care of business at home, but the NFL's been all over the place.
If you were me, we have our Survivor League. Obviously, we got 10 picks left. There's I think only 6 people got knocked out last week because all the favorites won. We used the Commanders on 3 picks early that week 1 against the Cardinals. Would you use picks on the Commanders here? And if so, how many would you use? We have 8. We have 7 picks available. We were considering doing 3 or 4 on them.
Yeah, I would have to look at the other games to see.
The only other games,
I don't know what else you've used.
Well, the only other games we would have are we have the teams completely available. It would be the Dolphins are at home against the Giants, and the Lions are at home against the Panthers. So it's a combination of those 3.
Man, I might just survive in advance and use. I'd probably just use the Dolphins, dude. There's no way. There's no way. I say that. Who knows? But I don't think there's any way the Giants beat them. I'm sure Saquon will be back. That'll help them a little bit. But I can't imagine the Giants beating them. And then this Thursday night, the Bears and Commanders. Sure, I expect the Commanders to probably win the game. But for y'all Survivor League picks, I'd probably do more of them on the Dolphins. At this point, just advance and, figure it out the next week.
I think you're probably right. I was thinking
maybe a couple on the Bears. I'm sorry, the Commanders.
The Commanders.
But, yeah,
I think that's the one I would be most worried about. Right. Yeah. And the Lions, with how good they've played and how bad Carolina's looked at home. You also kind of look at the market. The line on the game for the Lions opened at 8.5, and a lot of really sharp books moved it to 9.5 really quick to protect against teaser legs. So that tells you what they think about that game. They think that Lions are very easily going to win by 3 or more at least. So I think you're probably right. I don't know if it's worth the risk. Maybe we throw a pick or 2 on them.
Yeah.
That's an ugly game. We'll move on from that. Last one we're going to talk about. We'll talk about the game overseas in London. Again, not a lot of good games. This is one of the very few games where there's at least not a team with a losing record. The Jags come in 2-2, got back on track last week against the Falcons. They played internationally. Was it in London last week as well?
The Jags played in London last week.
Right.
Yep.
So they play back-to-back in London. You had talked about, and you can talk on this a little, how you think the Jags might actually move over there. But the Bills come in, obviously, it almost feels like a good spot for the Jags here, just because the Bills, came out so high for that game. They really wanted that one against the Dolphins, and they played about as good as you can play. Played almost a perfect game. One key injury for the Bills, they had Tre'Davious White, their best cover corner, tore his Achilles last week. That's a huge loss in the grand scheme of things for the year for the Bills. But Trevor Lawrence, and I know you've got him on your fantasy team. I'm not a big Trevor Lawrence guy. I'm definitely not a big Doug Peterson guy. I think he's, to put it nicely,
your dad's boy.
It was my dad's boy, but to put it nicely, I don't think he's a very good NFL coach. You don't get fired after 2 seasons after winning a Super Bowl if you're really good. But do you think this Jaguars offense is going to be able to have any success against a defense in the Bills who shut down what looked like the league's best offense last week in Miami? Or do you think that the Bills just have their way with the Jaguars in this one? Obviously, travel for the Bills is probably a little bit more difficult because I assume the Jaguars just stayed overseas while the Bills are having to have a full travel day and jet lag.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely helps that they're staying over there and they're definitely not coming home in between games.
Right.
So that definitely helps. I expect the Bills to go over there and beat them. But the Jags the defense, I'm certainly not sold on the Falcons. I think the Falcons have an okay defense. Arthur Smith's offense is just the absolute worst.
Horrible.
It's crazy that you have a guy as talented, and I think they call him, Kyle Pitts, who's just an absolute freak, and they can't.
Such a waste.
They don't use him. I mean, it's like I have him in our Dynasty fantasy league. It's like I had to bench him for Evan Ingram because they don't throw him the ball.
It's crazy.
But the weird thing is this week, and I don't know if you noticed it, is they brought in Jonnu Smith, who used to be with the Titans, and he came in and had like 60 or 70 yards. So I'm like, what is going... Can Pitts just not figure out? It's just bad scheme for him? I don't know what it is.
Here's what I think it is, and I'm not going to take credit for this because I've heard this. Payne, one of the podcasts I listen to, breaks down the NFL. He talked about this on their Monday podcast, which is it really... And I think actually Ryan Clark said this in the game. Arthur Smith doesn't call plays for people. Like, he kind of just runs his offense, and what ends up happening is the ball ends up in Jonnu Smith's hands 4 or 5 times. Like, you need to call plays and routes to get your playmakers the ball. Like, Pitts and Drake London need to touch the ball 10 to 15 times a game, and they're touching the ball like 3-4 times a game, and their targets are even low. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Pitts, even when he's having, like, not doing anything, he said, like, he may be targeted twice.
It's crazy.
Bizarre.
It's wild.
And I just can't imagine him not being able to get separation or not being open.
I don't get it.
But that offense is just brutal.
It's brutal.
And I expect, unless they hang around, I expect Arthur Smith to be gone next year. But
gotta be.
Who knows? But, yeah, I was telling you, I think the Jags, the NFL definitely wants it this way. Is they want to, it's not like you're making a bunch of money in Jacksonville, but they definitely want to move them to London. So that's why you see them over there, 2 weeks this year. And
I didn't know that until I saw that.
Instead of the one.
And
they're definitely trying to get a franchise in London, and then I think eventually more in Europe. I don't know how that'll all play out, but the ultimate goal is definitely to get the team in London as soon as possible. Your dad was like, they can't because legit. I get it. I'm sure players will have to, make more money to go over there because, it's definitely a hassle. And I assume they'll play like maybe 2 to 4 home games at a time and then come over to the States and play and to limit travel.
Yeah.
But who knows? But the reason I think that, and that's why the Jags always play over there, is because their owner is a guy who is from London. I don't know originally, but that's where he lives now. And
he does?
Yeah, the owner.
Was it
his last
Khan
name
or
is Khan?
Khan? Yeah.
Yeah, he owns Fulham FC, a football club in London that play in the Premier League, and he owns the Jags.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So I think that's definitely the goal eventually. Who knows when it happens, but you'll definitely see the Jags playing at least 2 games there probably for the next until they move over there full time.
That's crazy. Like you think about how, a lot of other sports, I would say football is probably the least international of all sports, right? Like you look at like soccer, even basketball has become very international. There's a league in pretty much every major country, multiple leagues now, and it doesn't seem like that for football. So interesting to see the NFL trying to branch out and go internationally. But yeah, I have questions about this Jags offense. I just, even in the game against Atlanta, 1 offensive touchdown. I think they've had 3 offensive touchdowns in their last 3 games. It's just been really, really like struggle city for the Jaguars offense. And I've said this from the start, I don't like Doug Peterson. I think he's gimmicky offensively, and I think Trevor Lawrence, to me, and this was why I didn't like Trevor Lawrence from the start, and this might not be fair, honestly, but he said this like in the pre-draft interview. It was like, before he was drafted, he was like, football, I could take it or leave it. Like, there's a lot of other things I like to do in life, and you see that, like, he throws an interception and he walks off the field like smiling. It drives me fucking nuts. It's like, dude,
it's
like
Jay Cutler.
It is.
Old smoking Jay, where they put the cigarette in his mouth after he threw a pick.
That's what it looks like. It's like,
I love
it's
Jay
just
Cutler.
Jay Cutler's a goat, but I just, Lawrence kind of drives me nuts, and it's just, you kind of saw last year, like, everybody jumped on the bandwagon because they won 5 games in a row to end the year and got in the playoffs. They won 9 games still last year. They won 9-8. They barely had a winning record. They won a bad division, and then, of those 5 games they won at the end of the year, 4 were against non-playoff teams, right? So it was just, that's loud as shit.
That's a big old plane.
It's a loud plane. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. I'm not sold on the Jags, and maybe this will be, because this is how last year started. They started 4-8 and then won, I think, their last 5 and 6 of their last 7.
Oh,
so
is that how they got in the playoffs?
They got, and then if it's not for Brandon Staley being actually like a complete fucking moron, they lose the game in the playoffs. They're down 28-0.
Weren't they down
28-0 in the first half.
Just winning 31-28, right?
Yeah, it was just fucking nuts. Like, how do you choke a game like that away? But Brandon Staley will find a way. But yeah, we'll see what happens. That probably will be one of the better games, and it's at 8:30 in the morning Central Time. So we'll see what happens with that one. All right, we'd like to welcome in the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Lieck, and he is here to give our his power rankings.
Pull this mic a little closer so I can hear myself. A little bit.
Okay.
I like to make sure my audio's
Yeah.
Your audio's fine, bud. Don't worry. All right. So let's get. We're gonna do your power rankings for your NFL teams. So through the first quarter of the season, let's go through your list of the NFL power rankings.
I have to think about this, but they're Captain Obviouses right now. All of this is Captain Obvious shit.
Give the people what you know, man.
Let's go. So you got San Francisco's 1. They're going to the Super Bowl. Well, they are Philadelphia's 2. So it's Philadelphia or San Francisco NFC Championship game. One of them's going. I'll go with the Bills 3rd, and then I'll go Bills. I'm going to go 4th. I'm going to go Miami. 5th. I'm going to do dark horse Detroit.
Miami at
You
4?
don't have the Cowboys in there, your boys?
The Cowboys are going to get beat this
my
week.
God.
They're going to get beat in the Chargers. They're going to lose in any kind of playoff game.
You're just so negative.
I know.
I'm not.
It's negative Nelly over
I
here.
know quarterbacks.
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
well,
He is a quarterback guru.
Well, can we get your
Quarterback
updated
guru.
quarterback power rankings then
Yeah,
for
we need
right now?
that.
I dropped Tua out of the top 5
Oh, there you go.
because I don't like Tua. He's the worst quarterback ever.
But
He
you
is
had
bad.
him in your top 5?
No, I think last week I might have him 6. This is what I'm
No,
saying.
you had him 4 last
Yeah,
week.
I did.
6, you
I
had
can't
Josh
remember.
Allen last week.
All right, well, now I have Josh Allen has to be 1, even though I don't believe in him. He'll throw a pick in any kind of playoff game. He will throw 2 picks. He's like a Andrew Luck kind of guy.
Oh, how dare you.
He's a horrible guy's horrible. I'll go. I'm going to put Stafford as my 5.
Ooh,
Wow.
I like it.
Stafford is my 5.
He's back. He
back.
gutted through that.
That was a
He
gutty
hurt.
performance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
brought
I
him
want
back.
Stafford as my 5. So let the guru talk about this, okay?
Okay,
Hold on.
sorry.
All right.
Yeah, don't interrupt me when I'm thinking.
You got it.
I fly it way high.
I know.
All right. We got Josh Allen. I'm going to go Purdy. Hurts. I'll go Herbert. And then I'm going to go I'm going to bring Matthew in that last fight. He'll throw 5
So you
picks.
drop Tua and Dak out of your top
Dak's
5
done.
then. Dak's gone.
Dak's horrible, but the fact that you
Done.
have Jalen Hurts in any top 5 quarterback list is pathetic.
Jalen Hurts is a stud.
He's horrible.
The top Super Bowl performance of all time by a quarterback, meaning carrying an entire team. I don't care about stats. He literally was the only player in the Super Bowl carrying his team.
They were the best team in the league, literally by far. They had the most talent of any team, and it was Patrick Mahomes had a better game than he did.
Patrick just throws it.
100% he had a better game than he did. What's the oh yeah, real squirrely. So you think we'll get to this in a second.
I am shocked that he put in who did you
Who's Stafford?
No, not Stafford. You put Purdy at number 2.
Oh, absolutely.
At number
He's
2?
got the number 1 rating in the league right now.
I know he does.
Last week he wasn't even in your top 7.
It doesn't matter. I didn't think about him then. This is the bottom line. And this is the truth. Who picked him after 3 series down?
No, you didn't.
Who?
Oh, you. My God.
I swear I saw
He
him.
never picked him.
So Sam Howell.
You gotta
did I
pump
not?
him up.
Did
He
I not
did pick Sam Howell, who's terrible.
I picked Purdy right away.
Sammy Howell's the man, dude.
I
He's the
picked
second
4
coming
picks.
of Jay
Sam Howell
Cutler.
when they brought him in, and for 4
One
throws.
throw.
No,
Oh,
it was 4
4.
actually.
Okay.
And I said, man, look at the pressure around this guy. This guy can get rid of the ball, sits in the pocket. Who cares if he gets sacks? Who cares about those picks, fumbles? Who cares? That Brett Favre did that all the time.
Yeah, I think
Has
comparing
nothing to do
Sam
with it.
Howell and Brett Favre is a bit of a stretch, but
Why are these two games
Yeah.
on right here?
huh?
Because there's Wednesday night football tonight, baby.
Why is that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's
They
Maction.
just started doing it.
It's Maction, baby.
It's actually
No, they don't do Wednesday
Maction's
night
going to be doing.
football.
I'm telling you, this is live right now. They started
Well,
doing
let
it.
me watch the quarterback in a
Maction,
second.
yeah,
I'll tell you.
No, we're not going to watch the
Well, I'm
quarterback.
going to tell you right now if any of these guys are going pro.
They're not. Okay, let's
All
talk.
you need is one look.
Let's
I'm
recap.
going to throw.
Let's recap some college football real quick from last week.
Hurry up.
Okay, Duke and Notre Dame was a really
One of the
good
best games I've seen
Game
in a
of the
long
week.
time.
That was the game of the week. Really unfortunate. The kid from Duke, Duke has the ball with a chance to essentially run the clock out. Instead, they end up pooch punting. Notre Dame not only goes down and scores, but then when Duke got the ball back, Riley Leonard got sacked and I think might have broke his ankle on the
Did
last
they
play.
say what happened to him?
I haven't heard of an update on the injury, but it did not
It was
look good.
bad.
It
No,
didn't
was
look
bad.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, he's fine. He's a wuss bag. Get your fucking ass up there and play
right.
football.
Yeah, that's
right.
Fucking wuss.
But then so
My day, we just went right back out there.
Rub some dirt on it.
is Notre Dame a legitimate playoff contender?
No.
Yes,
I think they are.
they absolutely.
Well, hold on. Let's say they beat you because if they beat
I
USC,
do like the way the quarterback's playing.
He's
I
the
do
best
like their
quarterback
big,
in college
tall,
football.
Tight end. I like him. I like the way
that
they're
tight
playing.
end was good.
I don't believe in the coach, so no.
now the coach is really bad.
Nope, they're not gonna go to the playoffs.
He's idiotic.
Alabama will be in the playoffs. They're
Oh
going to
my
win out.
gosh,
They're going to
what
win
are you
out.
talking about?
Alabama.
Yeah, they're going to win
What's
out.
wrong with you?
They're going to win out.
Okay,
They're going to lose to the Aggies this week.
No. They're gonna
the line sure indicates that. So next one, Texas and Kansas last week. Texas absolutely dismantled the Jayhawks.
Not in the
Both
first
are ranked
half.
teams. It was 40-14. The Jayhawks had 2 touchdowns the entire game. One was on an offensive fumble recovery.
And the worst performance.
Texas looks the part of a national title contender.
Their defense
they do.
does. Their offense
And we
does
will
not.
100% find out this week if they are,
lose.
because
They're
if
gonna
they
lose.
win, which they will,
No, they're not gonna
if they win, then the Longhorns are going to the playoffs. That's going to happen.
No.
Yes, they are.
Doesn't mean they're going to go to the playoffs, number one. Number two, the quarterback's pathetic. He's horrible. He was the worst quarterback in the top-ranked teams I've seen in a long time. His throwing arm, he's horrible the first half. He's ridiculous. He's not good. He's not getting you to the playoffs.
I'm not a big Quinn Ewers guy, but to
They
say
will
he's,
get their ass handed to them by Oklahoma.
to say he's horrible is a
I don't-
stretch.
Yeah, no, he's
Oklahoma's
definitely
got a
not horrible.
fast-paced offense. They're gonna put our defense to the test. They're gonna fast-paced offense. This kid's not gonna score the kind of points needed to beat Oklahoma.
Texas,
And you're on neutral ground.
the only reason I,
More Oklahoma people will be there.
only reason I,
My buddy
think-
runs the state fair. Good. He does.
Okay.
Glenn Smith does all the
get
talent.
us free tickets.
I
Yeah.
can go whatever
I
I
know what
want.
we're fucking talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Does all the concerts here. Every stage you see is Glenn Smith.
Okay, we get it.
Shout out Glenn Smith.
Yeah.
I will say this: the only worry I have in that game is I do think Texas is way better than Oklahoma. I do think Texas wins the game.
Yep.
My only worry is that when you beat a team 40-something nothing the year before, the team that got beat 40-0 is
True.
going to come out playing harder. It's just
That's true.
That's no matter what, that's
is
going to
true.
happen.
Now-
I do think that Texas is far more talented. And I know you guys, don't hate him. Quinn Ewers is better than Dylan Gabriel, first of all, 100%. In my opinion.
100%.
I will bet that Dylan Gabriel will outplay him this Saturday.
What does that even mean?
Number one, you get an 11 o'clock game, neutral field. Our quarterback starts slow every single first half. Oklahoma's going to score 21 in the first half.
Here's the issue with that.
21 points.
Here's the issue with your whole. Here's the issue with that. The only decent defense that Oklahoma has faced the whole year. I mean, they've had maybe the weakest schedule in college football of a Power 5 team. Now, the only decent defense they faced was SMU, who's not a very good.
Man.
Who's not
this
a very
is gonna
good.
Be great for the cameras.
Not a very good defense, and Oklahoma's offense stalled really badly against SMU. I remember watching the game.
Analytics.
No, it's not. They didn't score any points. They couldn't move the ball consistently. Dylan Gabriel, you don't even like lefty quarterbacks. He's a lefty.
And lefty quarterbacks are the worst.
Disgusting.
They're disgusting.
I think
Can't even
suck.
watch them.
I can't even watch them.
Except Mike Vick. Shout out Mike
No,
Vick.
Mike Vick is the Mike Vick's a
Deserves
legend.
some Mike with post dog
Yes,
fighting.
post dog fighting Mike.
He was better before dogfighting.
Much
Yes, he
better.
was.
Much better when he got with the coach. Was it Andy Reid?
No, he was with Andy Reid like at the very end.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
But I know he was with Chip Kelly, I think, for a little bit. But I think Texas wins the game, and the difference, obviously, is their defense. Their defense is maybe the top defense in the country, and Oklahoma's defense is not even in the top 50.
this ring cost me like $6,000.
Oh my God!
Okay.
Did it really?
Next one.
Big shot.
Next one. Georgia beat Auburn 27-20 last week. It took a come-from-behind victory from Georgia as they trailed on the road. Georgia, basically on the final drive, I think Brock Bowers made every single catch on the last drive to win the game. He had 4 straight receptions to score a touchdown. Beat Auburn. Georgia does not look nearly as good as they've been in years past. I have concerns about the Bulldogs. I still think they win the SEC, but I think they're going to drop a game pretty soon. They're due to drop. They're due to drop a game. They've been Carson Beck, their quarterback. He's just been really, really below average for what Georgia's had the last couple of years.
The only game I saw him play was against Auburn. They didn't look great.
Yeah.
And Auburn's not very good. Obviously, they're playing hard at home, want to win that game. It's a rivalry game. But, yeah, I was surprised to not see Georgia look at least a little bit better. But, I mean, they could have lost that game for sure. I mean, it was tied, right, with a few minutes to go. So,
Auburn was
like
up.
you said, Brock Bowers is just a man. I mean, he took them. They had
Incredible.
2 one-handed catches that drive,
Yep.
too, or one of them. So,
Yep.
Yeah, guy's going pro. I pick him first.
Oh, he's going pro. He's the number 1 rated tight end. He's
yeah,
projected
but
in
your
the
dad
first
didn't
round.
know that. He knows
tell
talent.
Oh, yeah,
now.
okay.
I'm telling you,
He
the
didn't
first time
study
I've
his
seen the
draft
fucking
boards.
guy.
Yeah, okay.
Number 1,
Okay.
he's going pro, and in the top, I'd say they should pick that guy
What round you think?
first round,
Oh, of course.
top 15.
He's a pretty top 10 pick, so you know.
I know he'll be at 11, 12, and 15. Just mark my words. I know
Okay.
my shit.
All right. You want to make a
11
diet?
to
You want to
15.
make a Diet Coke case bet on that?
Yeah, I'll bet you the amount.
All right, we'll take
not going the first
a
2 picks.
Diet Coke case bet
No,
on
the
that.
3 quarterbacks that go in the first pick, and people get offensive linemen.
I'm sorry,
first.
Diet Pepsi case.
People want to get offensive linemen and defensive linemen.
Lock it in. Diet Pepsi.
He's not going in the
Diet
top 10.
Pepsi case is I have that Brock Bowers will go in the top 10.
he's
You have
not.
him in the top 15. Okay, moving on. That was a good game. Georgia obviously found a way to win.
So what?
Next game, real quick, we'll talk about 2 more. And next
Dad's
one.
got fucking places to be.
I
done.
I know.
He's
We're-
the most important
Look,
fucking guy in this
Look,
city.
we're gonna recap. We're gonna recap.
Holy shit.
We're gonna recap real quick, and
That guy's
then
going pro, dude.
yeah,
Look at
he
him.
is.
Pro.
That guy's looking pretty good. He might be XFL. He might be XFL.
He's definitely an XFL.
XFL player.
We need to have an XFL show on here. Is what we're gonna
Dude,
do.
yeah. With
Lock
your dad,
professional
with your
XFL
dad,
pickers.
He is the greatest XFL analyst.
Did they even
I
He
think
picked
of all
almost
time.
every game last year.
Did they even renew the XFL? Is it coming
Yeah,
Oh,
back?
they're back.
Okay.
Your dad's
Back,
team
yeah.
Vegas. They're back,
they're back.
baby.
Okay, let's do 2 more games and then we'll do our picks and we'll go. All right. So next game, and we can talk about each of these teams real quick. We had what looked like to be an absolute blowout once again of Colorado. They were at home against USC. Colorado lost final 41-48, largely because Deion Sanders used all of his timeouts and then took a 5-minute drive to score, so they had an onside kick. Your boy Deion, who you love, terribly mismanaged the clock and gave his team no chance to win. But on the other hand, USC, who is a top 10 team and everybody thinks has a shot to go to the playoffs, they actually dropped a spot in the rankings from 8 to 9 because of how bad their defense is. And I don't care what anybody says, no team has any chance to win a national title when your defense is that bad. And they don't. That defense gave up 41 points and 35 and a half to Colorado, who's not been a great offense against good defenses.
It's an offensive game now. Keep going.
Is USC having so USC has a chance to win, go to the championship and win?
I picked him last week.
Your dad's a Caleb Williams
he's the best
#1
quarterback
fan club.
He's the best quarterback in college history.
You said ever, right?
Ever.
That's shock. That's wild to say that.
It's just ridiculous.
It's wild to say that.
Mike Vick
And I'm
was
the
a little
fucking
bit better.
QB guru.
Peyton Manning, Mike Vick.
Peyton Manning was. I watched him in
Andrew
Tennessee.
Luck.
Oh, come on, man.
Andrew Luck.
Luck was bonehead. Let's go. Bonehead.
Turner, did you watch any of USC Colorado?
No, I missed that one. Niece's birthday party. It was a painting party. It was lovely. Didn't watch the game. Me and my brother were looking at the score a little bit and saw they were down like 30, and the next thing you know, it's 7-point game.
Well, I said they were going to come back.
And Mr. Leak had texted me already saying, this team's coming back. They got a shot at winning this game.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for those timeouts, Colorado comes back and wins.
Yeah.
Smart.
I mean, it's just when you're in the presence of someone that fucking smart,
I fly a lot higher than you guys.
open up your
Dion
ears
came
and
out
listen.
in the press conference and he said, if we had gotten the ball back on that last drive,
guaranteed
we would have
we'd
scored. Yeah, no shit. How about keep your timeouts and you would have got the ball back? The hubris to say that after costing his team the game.
He need to talk to his boy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is the thing. Number one is they weren't going to get the ball back. Period. They were playing prevent defense, giving him those yards. They weren't going to get it back. If he used his timeout, they were still to kick it long, and Caleb would have got 2 first downs. It's a dumb argument.
Dumb deal.
The clock management was screwed up way before that. Let's go.
All right, next one, last game we'll talk about. LSU and Ole Miss. It was the best game of the weekend. There was incidents on the
Best
field.
offensive game.
Well, it was the most fun game to watch.
Yeah.
It was the most fun game to watch.
Notre Dame was more fun for me. But go ahead.
I would agree with you, Mr. Lee. I like those defensive battles. Trenches. Your kind of ball.
On Saturday night.
It's kind of
fight
ball.
it out.
Yeah.
You fight that shit out.
On Saturday night, Jonathan came over and I said that and about the Ole Miss game, and he goes, "Yeah, it was the best game of the day."
No, I did not. We had that the 6 TVs. We had that one or 7, whatever the screens. We had that one the far right, and we missed the whole third quarter, so don't even go there.
We put it back on.
We came back on the middle of the third quarter. We missed all the scoring. So
No, we didn't. We watched a ton of the scoring.
Yeah, not that much.
But LSU already drops their second game of the season. Brian Kelly may be on the hot seat if they keep this direction. I mean, how is your defense? How is your defense that bad?
$80 million.
Yeah, he's not on the hot seat yet, but I know what you mean. It's
If
not
he
looking
gets
good.
to $50 million, they'd buy him out. Not at $80 million.
I mean, I don't think he's going to get. I'm not saying he's going to get.
He's out.
Oh,
Well, they already lost 2 games. I'm not saying he's going to get fired. I'm just saying he's going to start feeling some heat pretty soon if he keeps
Texas
losing.
will lose 1 game. Who do you have in the top 5? I'll tell you. Texas will lose a game, so they're going to lose. Georgia isn't going to lose a game.
Who's Texas losing
USC's
to?
not going to lose a game.
He said Oklahoma. He thinks
They're
Oklahoma.
not going to lose a game, USC. So who are you
Oh,
going to
yeah,
have?
they are.
Yeah, they are.
Oregon.
There's way too many good
Who do
teams
they-
in the
who do
Pac-12.
they play?
Oregon
They-
doesn't
do
have
they
anybody
play
left
Oregon?
except
I
USC.
no,
USC plays Oregon, so one
First
of
of
those
all,
has to go.
Notre Dame's going to beat USC at Notre Dame in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
In
So
book it.
they've got here's the remaining
yeah, they
schedule.
are.
Here's the remaining schedule for USC. Their verse,
don't go with
their
that.
verse,
I keep
their
all
verse,
different lanes.
their
My
verse.
brain
Quiet.
works like
There's verse Arizona this week. Then they're at Notre Dame, verse Utah, at Cal, verse Washington, at Oregon, and verse UCLA. So they have to go to Oregon, they have to go to Notre Dame, and they have Utah at home. There's no way they're going 3-0 in those 3 games. No way. They're going to lose at least
USC?
one. Yeah, there's no way they're going to lose
That's
it.
what I said. This year, just say that. Aside from Georgia,
You just said USC wasn't going to lose a
What I
game.
said is what I'm saying is this. This is my statement. This year, probably the top 4 teams in the championship series of the college, whatever
Playoffs,
championship
yeah.
playoffs will all except for Georgia have 1 loss.
Oh, okay.
That's
But
what
you
I'm
said
saying.
USC wasn't going to lose just now.
No, they if they lose, they're out. So they'd be the only one that gets in that doesn't lose.
Well,
Yes.
you already said they're getting in, so you must think they're not going to lose.
No,
you said they were getting
that
in.
last week. I watched.
Oh,
this-
now
no,
you're changing.
I'm changing this week.
Okay.
Like Colin Hurd says. Now I got new information means new decisions.
What's the new information?
Prolific or what's like?
I mean, that's
poetry.
that was basically poetry there for
New information gives us new predictions.
Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to do our picks of the week. We're just going to pick the winners of all of these games so that we can keep track. Obviously, NFL, I'm ahead in our NFL picks by 2. He didn't even pick last week, so he doesn't even
everything.
he was disqualified.
Look, dude, I'll tell you this. I don't know what the rankings are, but you're obviously winning. If you got your picks in. I mean,
Yeah, well, he's not. He's
we're dealing with a fucking
We
genius
tied
here.
last
I've
week.
been watching it forever.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't look at the. I look at stat. I just look at the game and tell you who's playing.
Yeah.
Did I say that they were going to beat up Frisco? They almost came back, Arizona.
Oh,
I
yeah.
said
Those are
they're
your boys.
physical.
Physical.
Physical Cardinals. All right, let's start with the NFL. We're only going to pick a few games here. So let's start. We're going to go across the board. We'll go from Turner across. We'll go 49ers versus 49ers versus Cowboys in San Francisco.
I'm going to take the Niners.
Niners. Okay, I believe the Niners will win, but I'm going to stick with my Cowboys out of pure fandom. I think the Cowboys, and they do play up to their competition in those games. They're going to compete, and I'm going to pick the Cowboys. All right.
Jack will throw 2 picks in that.
Okay,
That's-
you heard it here. 2
Throw
picks.
2 picks.
That's
Two
a
or
bold
three?
prediction of the
What are you
week.
saying?
2 picks.
2 picks. Okay, 2
Guarantee
picks.
you.
All right. Number 2, we've got this one is the 8:30 game. It's in London, and the Jaguars played in London last week. They're playing there again. We talked about this game earlier. It's Buffalo against Jacksonville in a neutral
This
field.
is tough
Turner.
for Mr. Leak. He didn't wake up that early, folks.
I actually
I'm gonna
do.
take. Oh,
I
you
actually
do.
got up to put my alarm up to watch the game.
Okay, all
And
right.
I-
What?
and
It's
I-
Turner's
is he-
pick.
is he-
I'm picking.
He's picking.
Oh,
Let him
My
pick.
floor, please. Buffalo.
let's
Go ahead.
Okay, Buffalo for Turner.
Oh, no. Trevor will win that game.
Oh,
The
see,
Jags
that's your
will win the
guy.
game. The Jags are
Let
gonna
the
win
people
They have
know how
three
much you
offense-
love Doug
The
Peterson.
Jags are going to win that game.
It doesn't matter who they have out, Dylan. Okay.
It doesn't matter.
No, not that they have out. They have 3 offensive touchdowns in 3 weeks. That's how bad the offense has been.
They're going to win that game.
So you have Jags.
One team's traveling, one team's not.
Well, they already did travel. I do think that's an advantage, but I will 100.
Jags will win the game.
I will 100% take the Bills. My pick is the Bills.
Josh Allen will have 1 turnover and 1 pick. Keep going.
I do think it's a
So a
bad.
fumble and a pick. Is
Pick,
that what you're
fumble,
saying?
pick, fumble,
Oh, okay.
pick.
It's a bad spot for the Bills. I will say. So I do think it's
go.
going to be a close game.
All right, next one.
But I'm going to take the Bills. All right, next one we got the Thursday night game. Commanders at home against the Bears. Turner.
I'm gonna go ahead and take the Commanders.
Commanders.
That's a blowout.
Commanders.
Blowout, Commanders.
Okay, I'll take Commanders too. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I will take the Commanders
Blowout.
there. All right. On
Coach will be
Sunday.
fired the next day. Go ahead, next one.
On Sunday, you think Matt Eberflus is getting fired?
Oh, he's fired by Sunday this week.
I don't think so.
I think
Sunday,
they
he
should
will
make
be
him.
fired.
Here's the thing. I think he's so bad, and they want the first pick.
Yeah.
You just first of all, you got to make him suffer through it. And
Yeah.
Earn that money.
That's right.
You got to pay him one
No,
way or
don't
another.
lose
Think
fan.
about what you would do as an owner, though. They have no shot of
cut his
winning,
ass.
right?
I cut his
No,
ass. No, you wouldn't.
Why? You would
Yeah,
make
'cause
him
you're in a
suffer
worse
through it.
conundrum. You're in a worse
It would be
conundrum.
like one of your guys.
No,
it would
because
be
this
like
is why
one of
you
your-
cut. This is why you cut him.
Okay, go ahead.
You
Let's
cut
hear
him because then you see if it has to do with him. So you have your quarterback.
Oh, okay.
And
All
you
right.
see if the guy plays any better.
Yeah.
And then if he
Without
doesn't play
that
better,
system, okay, got
then
it.
you
Got it.
then
Got
you
it.
tell the guy sit the quarterback.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Let's
Fair
get him
enough.
hurt.
Okay, next one. We got a Sunday afternoon matchup between the Eagles and the Rams in Los Angeles. Turner, who you got in that one?
You know, I got to pick an upset somewhere this week. I'm taking the Rams.
I was gonna
Give
do
me
that.
Matt Stafford.
Damn.
No.
Who?
The Rams.
You got the Eagles?
Ass kicked.
Oh.
You got the Eagles?
Yes.
Man, I'm back and forth on this because I do think this is an upset spot and it's in
I
LA.
hope they get upset, but they're not.
But I just think the Eagles keep catching every break. Matt Stafford looked like he could barely walk at the end of that game.
Oh yeah, I don't know how hurt he is.
Yeah, I'm gonna
but-
take the Eagles, but I am rooting for the Rams.
Me too. I'm rooting for
100%.
them, but the Eagles are going to win.
If Stafford,
It'll be the
Have
Eagles.
if
they
Stafford
said-
didn't get hurt, he's gonna play.
Have they said about anything about Cooper Kupp?
I think he's practicing this week, but he's not gonna
Playing
play.
yet?
I don't think.
When those receivers, okay. you ready?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's hear it.
When those receivers get a hamstring injury like that,
I
like
know.
Austin Miles at the Cowboys, it's
Yeah.
over.
Forever?
Yeah, it's over.
What?
That's
He
not
might,
true.
might have one more good year.
That's not
like
true.
McCaffrey's year this year is the only year that guy's going to last. He beat
You're,
his ass up.
you're predicting that he's going to get hurt, though. You've said
No, I did. I said by the end of the year, but I'm saying.
But he's
right
been really good for multiple years.
Yeah. Well, no, he gets injured all the time.
Yeah, but he's been really
Availability
good.
is number one.
He didn't get injured last year.
Well, he wasn't.
I
there.
will say they are playing him. When they're up that much in that
Kyle
game, they're
Shanahan
playing,
said they're going to
they're
play
playing
him the
way
whole,
too much.
Yeah, the whole quarter. They're running him this year. He will be great this year. That's it for McCaffrey. After this
Yeah.
year, it's not going to be nothing like this.
Okay,
This is-
I'm
this is an
actually
anomaly.
all right. I'm actually gonna
He's really
switch.
good.
I'm gonna switch my pick to the Rams because I want to root for them. I'm gonna take the Rams. Okay, next game. This will be a 3:25 Central Time kickoff, 4:25 Eastern. The Chiefs traveled to Minnesota to take on the 1-3 Vikings. Chiefs coming off that close win against the Jets on Sunday night. Who do you got, Turner? Chiefs or Vikings?
You know what? I'm going to go with another upset. I don't know why, but I'm going to take the Vikings.
I was going to do that too. I swear I was going to do that.
They got to win. It's a must win.
The Chiefs.
We know you only take favorites. Go ahead and pick the Chiefs.
The Chiefs will knock the shit out of them.
Okay.
Since I switched,
Slobberknocker.
you know what? I'm going to take the Chiefs. It's going to be a tight game, though. It's going to be very tight. All right. Last game. We already picked the Sunday night game. So the Monday night game, it is a terrible game. They keep picking really bad games for these primetime spots. Packers at the Raiders.
That's actually a pretty good game.
But it's bad teams. Turner,
Bad teams, but
Packers at the Raiders.
I mean, I'm going to take the Packers. In
Packers?
This spot. Yeah. Raiders suck.
They do suck.
I'm going Raiders.
I'm going to take
Raiders are going to win the game.
Okay.
That's
what we're
that's
talking
what
about.
we're
We're just
picking.
picking straight up winners. Yeah.
I'm saying they will win the game. I can guarantee that.
Oh, it's a guarantee?
Guarantee.
That's the Chris.
Guarantee!
No, I guarantee you they're going to win.
All right, so I'll take
That's the Blanco Don Ray
It's the fucking
guarantee of the week.
White Don.
the White Don
White
King.
Don King.
Now, I will take the Raiders only because I have never seen a worse display of tackling in my entire life than I watched on Thursday night when they played the Lions. It was pathetic. So I will take the Raiders on the Monday night game. Okay, we're going to quickly run through the college games. Okay, going across the same order. We got the Red River Rivalry, Turner, Texas versus Oklahoma. Texas? Oklahoma, I got Texas. I think it's going to be a blowout. Next one, we're going to go. This is an interesting game. Maryland at number 4, Ohio State. Maryland is undefeated. They're both undefeated. Ohio State is off of a bye, I believe. I don't think they played last week after the Notre Dame game, but tough spot to get up.
Bad. They're going to be the ones that
Turner.
I mean, they only lost one game already.
No, Ohio State has not lost.
No, they beat Notre Dame.
They'll be in the playoffs. Keep going.
Turner, it's your pick.
I'll take Ohio State in that one.
Ohio State's going to kill them.
I'll take Ohio State. That's going to be a closer game than people think.
No, it's not.
Yes, it will. Next game, we'll go. Number 23, LS.
He's on like Lee Corso there.
Close.
Yeah.
Close.
Close.
Game.
Win. No cover. No cover. We've got number 23, LSU, traveling to Missouri. The Tigers versus the Tigers.
Give me Mizzou.
Mizzou is actually undefeated this year, and LSU off their second loss of the season. We got Mizzou for Turner. Who you got?
I floated into a money discussion. I got my head.
What?
I
What
was
is
thinking
he?
about money
Dude,
just now.
he's just.
I'm thinking about my companies and how much shit I
Yeah.
can
Pick the game, bro. Let's go.
This guy's got more money than Donald Trump.
You pick
Please.
first, and then I'm gonna. Pick
I'll
last.
take Missouri as well. I think Missouri pulls the upset
You
at
gotta
home.
pick LSU. You gotta go with your guy Brian Kelly. Come on.
LSU.
Okay,
Yeah,
LSU.
your guy.
All right, next one we got Washington State, ranked number 13, undefeated, traveling to UCLA.
Dylan's gonna be mad because I picked before him in this pick, but I'm taking the Washington State Cougars and my boy Cam Ward used to play for Incarnate Word.
I like it.
He's gonna get it done and beat your UCLA Bruins.
No. UCLA. They're playing at UCLA.
Playing at UCLA.
UCLA.
He's like, oh, they're playing UCLA? Let me think about it.
UCLA.
No, I got Washington State. I think
Everyone's talking about them being a top 5 team. Let's get real here. They're not.
they're not a top 5 team, but I think people haven't given them enough credit for what they've done the first 4 weeks. It's been impressive. Washington State's got a pretty good overall team. Okay, interesting game here. It's Alabama, number 11, traveling to Texas A&M. There's a lot of people think the Aggies are going to pull off the upset, even with the Aggies not having their starting quarterback. Connor Weigman is out for the season with a broken ankle, and in steps Max Johnson, the lefty for A&M. Turner, is there an upset here or not?
I hate to say this. Max Johnson's not that bad. He's not as bad as like some of these other A&M quarterbacks. I think, and like I said, I hate to say this, the Aggies I think are going to win that game. Milrow,
he's so bad.
Milrow on the road in front of 110,000 people or whatever.
It's a night game too.
It's a night game. I'll go with the Aggies in that one, and like I said, it hurts me to do it, but I can't expect Milrow to go in there and win on the road.
Milrow's going to have 3 touchdowns, maybe 2 throwing, 1 running, or 2 running, 1 touchdown throwing, maybe 4. They're going to bitch slap. Sorry. They're going to slap the fuck.
Slobber.
They're going to
It's a
slobberknocker.
slobberknocker.
They're going to slobber knock. Nick's going to beat the shit out of him.
Okay.
It's going to be. I'm telling you.
All right.
He is going to. That game's going to be a personal vendetta.
I'm gonna take Alabama. Although I think Kyle Field is a really tough place to play at night. It's one of the tougher environments in college football. I think the Aggies are getting too much credit here. I think Alabama is going to come in fired up for this one. I think they're going to be pissed that a lot of people are taking A&M, and I think Saban's going to prove that he's not done yet. I do think Alabama loses another game this season. I just don't think it's here. Next one.
And the quarterback's going to kick ass at it.
Next one. We've got Kentucky, number 20, undefeated after a shellacking of the Florida Gators last week, and they are playing against Georgia in Georgia.
Go.
Turner?
I'm gonna take the dogs.
Georgia.
Bulldogs.
Let's go.
Georgia, that's an easy one. We'll move on. Next one, we've got Notre Dame. Number 10, Notre Dame, taking on number 25, Louisville. Notre Dame has to win on the road to keep their national championship and college football playoff hopes alive. Louisville undefeated coming into the game, though.
I watched them last week.
Irish win pretty easy. I think.
Okay,
Pretty
Irish
easy.
win pretty
Irish
easy.
win barely.
Okay.
Okay,
Barely.
I've watched Louisville. Louisville's not as good as their record indicates, but this is a tough spot for Notre Dame. How many times in a row can you get up for a game? You had Ohio State at home in front of a ruckus crowd. You blow that one. You have an emotional come-from-behind win at Duke last week. Now you go on the road again to a decent Louisville team. I'm going to take the Irish by 4.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, next one, we'll take Arkansas at number 16, Ole Miss. Arkansas has had a really rough start to the season. Ole Miss off a big win against LSU.
I'm going to get an upset here. I'm going to take the Hogs.
Okay, I like it.
I don't know why. I have a feeling that Ole Miss won that game, the track meet that was in the 50s. And
That's how I feel.
I don't know. I just think Arkansas' sneaky spot can get a win here.
It's a good spot.
Ole Miss is going to beat the living shit out of them.
Okay.
I got Ole Miss. Ole Miss will win by a field goal. It's going to be a tight game. Arkansas will lead early in that game. They'll lead at halftime. Okay, and then we'll go two kind of off the docket here. We have an interesting matchup in the group of 5 in the Mountain West between
Mountain West.
Mountain West expert over here.
Yeah, I'm not joking.
Number 24, Fresno State undefeated, taking on Wyoming in Wyoming. It's a tough place to play. It's the highest elevation of any stadium in the country. Wyoming has just one loss, and it was to Texas. They hung with Texas for 3 quarters in Austin. Turner, Fresno State or Wyoming?
Give me my Cowboys.
I like it. The Cowboys at home pulling the upset.
Wyoming win the game.
Man, y'all are, I wanted
Actually,
to take...
you know what? I'm going to go Fresno State. I watched them play last week.
They're not good.
I was gonna take. I'm gonna take.
Their favorite.
I'm gonna take.
taking Fresno State.
I'm gonna take Wyoming in a close game.
All right, I'll win that one.
Okay, and then the last game we will take, and this is purely because my dad likes
Slam
Colorado.
Slam dunk.
We have the Colorado Buffalo taking on the Sun Devils of Arizona State.
Arizona State's gonna be a tough game.
It is at Arizona State, and this is a team who was off a bye and gave USC all they could handle the week before that.
Nah, just give me Arizona State.
Arizona State.
Colorado will kill them.
Give me Arizona State as well. I'll take the Sun Devils.
No,
Colorado by a billion.
Colorado will kill them.
Okay.
Colorado can't kill anybody. They couldn't stop you, me, and Dylan from going down the field.
Real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and do this just because we're already set up, and I will. This will be the last segment unless my dad wants to close with some thoughts. Real quick, I'm going to give my best bets of the week. Again, this is for entertainment purposes only, but I actually like what Turner's breakdown on the Arkansas game, and the Hogs are catching 11.5 points at Ole Miss. We'll call this the pizza money bet of the week. We'll take Arkansas plus 11.5 at Ole Miss. I also like Washington State plus the 3.5 at UCLA. I like Missouri plus the 5.5 at home against LSU, but my number one play of the week is going to be Kentucky and Georgia under 48.5 for college. I think that's going to be a slow-paced game. The Kentucky Wildcats offense struggles quite a bit, and it's not going to, despite what you say, because you just take the opposite of whatever I say. I think Kentucky and Georgia is going to be a slugfest.
Georgia have 35 points.
The Georgia offense has looked very, very poor. Even
35.
Auburn's defense isn't great, and they slowed them down last week. I think they have a good game plan. It's going to be a low-scoring game, and I think Georgia wins the game going away, and they'll be running the ball a lot late. As for the NFL, my upset of the week is going to be the Arizona Cardinals as 3-point dogs to take down Joe Burrow and the Livvy Dunne-less Joe Burrow.
At the Bengals?
They're at home.
Okay.
The Cardinals are 3-point dogs. The Cardinals are 3-point dogs. So I'll go ahead and say my best straight bet of the week for the NFL for pizza money is the Cardinals plus 3 against the Bengals. Sprinkle some on the money line. And then my teaser of the week is going to be the Arizona Cardinals plus 9. Tease them from 3 to 9 on a 6-point teaser. at home against the Bengals, and we're going to tease the Texans from +2 to +8. So you get 2 underdogs over a touchdown. I think both of those underdogs have played well thus far this season, and I think they are likely to cover that number, if not win those games outright. Do you have any best bets of the week?
I'm going to pick again. I'm going to show you real quick. I'm going to pick them real quick. Okay, ready? Commanders. This is how quick this works. Jags. Texans.
This is big brain shit, folks.
Texas, well, I'm flying high.
Yes.
Right now, I'm okay.
45,000 feet.
Do you have any one?
I see things in the future.
Okay, on the spread, do you have any of your? I want a Chris Lieck's best bet of the week. Do we have one or no?
Rams, Eagles.
What's the pick?
Rams will lose by way more than 4.5.
So you got the Eagles minus 4.5. That's your pick of the week.
Absolutely.
All right, so you heard it here. The White Dunne King.
You could go to Vegas and put like your condo down on it. I'm not joking.
All right, so
That bet right there.
So hold on. That is what we call a Vegas whale play right there. Vegas Dave whale play right there.
Oh my God.
The Vegas, you heard it here, folks. The Vegas Dave whale play of the
God
week is the
damn,
Eagles
so
minus
funny.
4.5.
All right.
And
I'm retired, so these two guys are this is the fucking genius right here.
Yeah.
You guys want to make some serious fucking money.
Thank you.
You followed the White Dunne King. That's all for our first episode of the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
What you ought to do is do picks for the bettors, because that's what I'm excellent at.
You're not very good at anything, to be honest. I mean,
That's what you just did. You just gave
Yeah,
the
but I
pick.
mean the whole fucking show about me.
only you. It's only you.
Yeah.
Like, no, listen, dude.
Y'all just ask
You know
me
what's
questions
hilarious?
off
You
camera.
know what's